Zakir Hussain, one of the world's greatest tabla players, has died at the age of 73. Known as the maestro with dancing fingers, Hussain was a four-time Grammy Award winner. Through his performances, he transformed the tabla into a globally loved solo instrument that was the star of the show. Well, let's have a listen to him playing the tabla at the Taj Mahal back in 2014. Well, with me in the studio is the BBC Asian Network presenter, the DJ, Bobby Friction. Bobby, unmistakable, that sound. Your reaction, because I know through the course of today you've been talking to many people who actually played with him.
Yeah, well, I mean, for a start, for the people who've actually played with him, people who play the tabla, this is akin to losing Prince and Bowie and John Lennon, but in one person. I mean, that's how exalted he was, that's how revered he was, and there's a lot of really quite lost musicians at the moment after losing this colossus.
It is so interesting, because I said it and alluded to it in the introduction, because until he came on the scene, it was really seen as an instrument that was an accompanying instrument, not the main thing.
Yeah, no, definitely the tabla was usually seen alongside other instruments, including, for example, the sitar. But what he did was the same as what Hendrix would have done with the guitar. He took the tabla, made it centre stage, and then his way of playing it also was something that left people agog. Because, I mean, you just saw that clip. The New York Times famously said that the speed of his fingers was like the speed of a hummingbird's wings, which is a great example of just how good he was.
Now, I was reading about him. I mean, he came from a musical family. He was playing concerts at the age of 7. By 19, he was playing 150 concerts a year, playing with absolute legends like Ravi Shankar.
Well, Ravi Shankar, as we know, is almost like the icon of Indian classical music. And his father, Allah Rakha Khan, was already the virtuoso, the biggest tabla player in the world. And what he did was, via people like Ravi Shankar, via his collaborations and his just gigs and tabla playing style, was take the actual act of playing it to another level. And he managed to spread it globally in the same way that Ravi Shankar did.
Well, you take me to exactly where I wanted to end up, because we were hearing Zakir Hussain playing at the Taj Mahal a little earlier. I just want to play you another clip, a more recent recording of him performing with the Symphony Orchestra of India in Birmingham in 2019. It's just fantastic seeing some of those old clips. But, I mean, he played with George Harrison, with Van Morrison. It was incredible, just the influence.
Oh, yeah, his influence when it came to even Western musicians, they revered him. I think the reason for that is if Ravi Shankar introduced the Beatles and the West to Indian classical music, what he did was he then took the next step. He was the king of fusion, famously with bands like Shakti and the virtuoso guitarist John McLaughlin. He played in a band called Tabla Beat Science. So that long story of Indian classical music spreading across the world essentially were in his hands. Ravi Shankar started it, he carried it on and took it to the next level. 4 Grammy Awards, 7 nominations, he was untouchable. I
was intrigued because, as well as the big names, in the latter years, he was really keen not to play a lot with those people, but to be sort of associated with young talent.
What he did was he kind of broke the system. Indian classical music is based around kinship and a guru system. So you end up being a guru and you teach people. he got to a point where he was the guru of all the tabla gurus. And so in recent years, he started working with unknowns, people who possibly weren't that famous. And that's because he always felt he was a teacher and a student. And even in the later years of his life, he talked about still needing to be a student himself.
Well, Bobby Friction, thank you so much for being here and taking us through some of the conversations you've been having through the course of the day after this news broke a little earlier from his family. Thanks so much for your time.